Hello again. When I talked in a light-hearted way yesterday about the very different outcomes of the Zambian and Indian space programs, somebody who comments regularly on this channel reproached me for not providing context. This was a reasonably enough criticism, I think, and so I thought I would devote a couple of videos to comparing and contrasting the fortunes of two former British colonies, providing a little context for both so that viewers can judge for themselves what might cause differing outcomes. This might prove interesting for those who believe that there are inherent cognitive differences between various ethnic groups. Nigeria is a very large nation in West Africa, which was until 1960 administered by the British. It has a long history. Of course, the culture of Benin flourished there many centuries ago. It's also very big. It's got an enormous amount of natural resources. It's the world's eighth largest exporter of petroleum, vast reserves of both oil and natural gas. In addition to this, there are very, very big deposits there of various minerals, including bauxite, the ore from which we get aluminium, tin, gold, zinc, lead. Not only that, but there are a lot of minerals, for example, like niobium, I should say, and tantalite, both of which are absolutely vital for modern technology in the Western world. They're very much sought after. They're just there, waiting to be dug out of the ground. Until independence, Nigeria was self-sufficient agriculturally. Now, though, it's not. It has to import food. Singapore is an island which is 1,000 times smaller than Nigeria. It has literally no natural resources at all. Singapore was simply a British colonial creation with little prior history. Just 5 million people live there compared with the couple of 100 million or so in Nigeria. The legacy of colonialism is often blamed for things such as the poverty and underdevelopment in Africa. Let's see how these two colonies fared since the 1960s, when they became independent nations. Singapore, with no natural resources, is one of the most crowded places on earth. There are nearly 8,000 people per square kilometre. It's about 40 times as densely populated as Nigeria. Although there's a mixture of ethnic groups, Chinese, Malayan, Indian and so on, the place is peaceful and well ordered. The average gross domestic product per head is over $100,000, about $105,000 in fact. In Britain, the comparable figure is only $44,000. Whoops. This former colony is more than twice as wealthy as we are in Britain, and all with no natural resources. In Nigeria, with the almost limitless but untapped mineral wealth, the GDP per head is just $5,000, an eighth of what it is in Britain, and about a 25th of what it is in Singapore. Nigeria, with all its resources, is very poor, but Singapore, with no resources, is very rich. In Singapore, despite the occasional friction between the Chinese and Malays, Buddhists and Christians and so on, the country has been peaceful and industrious since independence. In Nigeria, by contrast, people have been killing each other frequently, all the time, in large numbers since independence was granted in 1960. During the Biafran War, which began a few years after independence, over 2 million civilians were killed and another 3 million were driven out as refugees. Political and religious violence has become a way of life there, with frequent military coups and regular massacres, especially in the north of the country. Some viewers might have heard of the Boko Haram movement, the Muslim fanatics. In the space of 7 years, Boko Haram were responsible for nearly 40,000 murders. This partly explains, of course, the difficulty in exploiting all those mineral resources. It's hard to dig mines to get at those deposits when that sort of thing is going on. Both Nigeria and Singapore are the products of British imperialism, yet the outcomes for the two nations have been very different. I said that Singapore has no natural resources, but that's not entirely true. They have the brains of the Chinese people who make up 3/4 of the population. It is this, I suspect, which makes them 20 times as wealthy as the other former colony at which we have looked. I shall have more to say on this subject tomorrow.